If you're a summer intern, there's a very, very decent chance that you hate your job, which sucks. But we're going to talk about it today. We're going to go through the various different reasons why you might hate your job, why you might hate your internship, and kind of talk about the workarounds, things that we can fix, things that maybe we can't fix, all about it. Welcome back to this week's episode of Rerouted. This is episode 21. After today's episode, we are officially within the top 1% of podcasts because 99% of them don't make it past episode 20. So this will be the episode that we do. So to celebrate this milestone, I'd appreciate if you liked, subscribed, rated, follow wherever you're listening. Support the show. I appreciate it. Sometimes it feels like I'm screaming into the void, so help me not feel like that. I would appreciate that. But we're just going to hop into it. As a quick disclaimer as well, as a current intern and former intern, this doesn't really come from much of my experience. I've enjoyed past internships, so if you're a current or former boss listening to this, it's not you. I hope you enjoy this episode. I hope you're enjoying this format. So let's keep the good times rolling. So the first thing that you hate about your internship is you hate the role that you're doing. I always like to use the example that if you're in a manufacturing company where they manufacture some sort of consumer product and you are a manufacturing engineer, so you're spending time on the floor supporting the manufacturing process and you hate that, right? Maybe you want to be in a different role. This is, I think, by far one of the most fixable problems that you can have in an internship in a workplace, even though it seems like the most permanent. Because if you're in a position where if you are in a role that you don't like, whether that's something where you got the internship and you knew you weren't going to like it, or if it's something that you learned that you didn't like it through the internship, it's very fixable. I'd also like to say, too, that if you learned that you didn't like something through the internship, that's in itself a successful internship. I think that we get caught up in having the dream internship. Internships are meant for you to learn what you do like and especially what you don't like. So if you're finding anything about this, that you don't like something about a job, that's actually a successful experience because that's just another piece of data that you can use to either find your next internship, what you're going to prioritize, or for your full-time job. So I would say that this goes for all of the things that you might not like about your internship, but this one is by far the most fixable. So if you're in manufacturing and you decide that you hate manufacturing, you don't like the lifestyle that it brings, you just don't like being it's hot, right? You're in the summer, maybe the floor is hot, right? You now have the incredible opportunity to go, well, okay, I don't like this very much. I'm going to go find out what I do like. Because you're in a company that has people across all different types of roles who do all different functions across that company. So now's your opportunity to really say, okay, I'm going to find what I do like in this company. Because when you're in an internship, you have an entire company at your disposal who will talk to you. In the last episode that we did of this format, an Internmaxxing, we talked about how nobody says no to an intern. People will always talk to interns. People like talking to interns, and people like talking about themselves. So you are going to have a great success rate. If you're in manufacturing and you think you want to be in design, if you reach out to 5 design engineers, 4 of them are going to say, yeah, sure, let's talk, right? That's going to be what you're going to do in this position. You're going to want to find people who are in roles that you think you might want and talk with them and learn about them and figure out if that's actually the case. Now, that doesn't help your day-to-day, right? If you hate the day-to-day, that doesn't necessarily help. It helps where you're going, but not necessarily where you are, right? Another thing that I would point out is that if you're at an internship, then the work that you're going to get can be flexible. You aren't as bound to one specific type of thing as you think you are, perhaps. So you might want to go start looking for some different things. Maybe talk to those design engineers that you've spoken to. Maybe talk to any person, right? Fill your name here, right? Talk to one of those design engineers and see if you can get some work from them. See if you can try out doing some of the things that they do. Have that conversation with your manager, with your mentor. If you're not liking something about your experience, I'm really encourage people to just be transparent about that. Because if you have a manager who's actively looking out for you as an intern, they know you're only there for 3 months, right? They're going to do what they can to make sure that you're still getting a great experience. So if you want to try to get some work from a different team, I don't see why not. Try it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, right? And the fun thing about that too is that if you decide you hate the role that you're in anyways, then might as well try to get something a little bit better, right? So once you've met the people who are in roles that you think you might be interested in, you talk with them and you decide, okay, this is something that I am interested in, try to get some of that work. You're going to be able to learn more about that position as well. And you're also going to maybe do something that you're a little more interested in. A final point on this one as well is that everything is really connected in companies, and all experience really is good experience. So if you say, I don't like this part of the company that I'm at, I don't like this specific type of role, I might be more interested in this type of thing. What you can now do is start focusing your experience on what can you do that will make you better at a different thing later on. So if you're a manufacturing engineer, the experience that you have will make you a better design engineer. I have to imagine the same goes for most facets of business as well. If you're somebody who's doing marketing and you want to move into finance, I have to imagine there are certain things that are transferable about marketing that you'd be able to bring into finance, or vice versa, all sorts of different ways. So now what you can do is you can start trying to frame your experiences around that, about looking to get transferable skills, or not even transferable skills, but just growing your base of knowledge or understanding around the role and where it fits into the larger picture. That's going to help you get that next one. So when you're putting it on your resume of this is what I did, you can rephrase it of I did this incredibly specific thing that's only relevant to this role to I did this pretty general thing that gives me transferable skills into lots of different avenues. I think this is also a really interesting place to bring it. So to summarize the whole, if you hate the role, you're going to want to talk to other people, figure out what roles you might be interested in, try to get some work from them, but then also as well, make sure that you're getting takeaways that will be able to transfer you into something different in the future. All right, next one. If you don't like the work that you're getting, we talked about this one a little bit more. Try to get different work, right? If it's something where if you hate the role, right? We already talked about that. But if it's you like the thing that you're doing in concept, but the work that you're getting just isn't interesting you, you're not learning anything, or if it's really raw, busy work and it's something where you're just getting the junk that nobody else wants to do, that's a conversation that you're going to want to have with your manager or your mentor or with other people as well. Other people can give you work too. Of course, you want to figure it out, feel out the vibe of the company, so to speak, or, you know, don't want to go over people's heads, but for the most part, you're probably going to be able to get work from other people. Sometimes it can feel like it's difficult to keep interns busy because giving them work takes time from people. And if people are busy, then maybe they don't want to, right? So if you go, hey, I'm going to ask this other person for work, or if you just ask that other person for work and they have it for you, that might actually be a relief off the people who are doing it already. So that might actually help. But so if you don't like the work that you're getting, you got to advocate for yourself here. Find work from different sources that might be a little bit different, or also maybe just try going back to the well and seeing what else you can fish at. Right? I think that one's pretty straightforward. Really just comes down to you got to advocate for yourself. If you're getting the busy work, right, that they're like, listen, you're an intern. You got to do the busy work. Someone's got to do it, right? You got to do it. If you do well with that type of stuff and you do it efficiently, then it might lead you down the path of being able to get better stuff. It's not always true, but you can really take two options with that if you don't like the work that you're getting. You can take forever, spend hours a day scrolling reels and just procrastinating it because it doesn't really have a good timeline, and take forever doing it, quite frankly, just because you don't like it and nobody's giving you more stuff. Or you just do it and then come back and say, hey, I want to try something new. I want to learn something new. People like people who are enthusiastic and excited to do stuff. So if you can be enthusiastic and excited to do stuff, you're going to come across a lot better. And I think the good things will come to you. I've seen that a lot. If you just are out there and you ask for stuff, then it's going to get rewarded. There's an example this summer for me. I got in a lot of busy work. They feel kind of bad about it, honestly, because nobody wants to do it, but somebody's got to do it. But that's actually led me to be able to get more interesting work or more scope over something because I did that well. To summarize, if you don't like the work that you're getting, advocate for yourself to get different work, do the work that you don't like well to try to level yourself up in the type of work that you're getting, or also find other people to get work from. All right, next one. If you hate your coworkers or your other interns, if the people that you're working with suck, this one's kind of a tricky one, or kind of an interesting one, I think. I don't think it's really that tricky, but it's kind of interesting, right? Because you can't control that, and you're at the bottom or equal to everybody around you. So it's kind of a fun spot to be in. I would say, though, it's something where if you don't like the people that you're around, try to be around different people. Companies are pretty big. If you have to work directly with people that you don't like, that sucks. I do also think, though, that's a skill that's good to develop. If you don't like working with someone that you have to work with, the ability to still work with them despite them annoying the crap out of you, that's a skill right there. Because you can't always work with people that you really like, right? So honestly, one, I think it's a learning moment to be able to go, this guy sucks, but I still got to work with him, and then proceed to work with him and do it kind of well. That's valuable, honestly, in itself. But another thing as well, too, to consider is that, yeah, you don't have to spend that time with them. I think something that really can make or break a summer experience is friendships that you form with other interns and maybe other coworkers as well. I think that you've probably seen at this point that office life is a lot of small talk and a lot of chit chat, and that's kind of what makes it enjoyable for a lot of people, right? So just just go a little deeper, try to find your people. It's kind of not as simple as that because it's a lot easier said than done, but you just got to push through there. If you don't like your co-interns, maybe try hanging out with different interns. If all the interns are terrible and you've convinced yourself of that, you don't have to hang out with them, right? Another thing as well, too, is if you don't like the people that you're working with, one, there are more. I mean, unless you're at like a 5-person company, there are going to be more people that you're working with. Young people are everywhere. I had a guy that I'm working with recently who graduated like maybe 4 years ago. Like he snailed me. Where it's like the thing where you do like the fist bump and they snail. I was like, oh my gosh, we're peers. We're very close in age, right? So you'll be able to find people like that too. You'd be surprised. I think that Gen Z in particular is actually, depending on the workplace, can be kind of lax around the buttoned up corporate stuff. So that might be something nice. That might be a little outlet for you. Just try to find other young people, people who are a couple years in their career, and then just, start by picking their brain, ask them questions about stuff. You'll be able to find people that you enjoy spending a little bit more time with, hopefully. And if you really hate it, you can nose down work, but I don't think that's a lot of fun, honestly. I think that's a recipe for not having a great time. But yeah, in summary, find different people, understand that you don't have to have the best social relationship with them, and a lot of times that's actually a great skill to develop, is working with people that you don't really like, and then just find other young people to hang around and ask questions and chat with. All right, you hate the company. This one is kind of nebulous because what does that mean, right? You hate the company. I'm going to talk about the company culture. I think is something that's a little bit more specific in that sense. I mean, if you just don't like the work that they do, right, that kind of comes back to like not liking the role, or just making sure that you're getting skills that you can transfer out. But if you don't like the company culture, this is kind of similar to the last one, where you might not necessarily be able to get your way out of it 100%. But it's going to be the type of thing where, coming back to one of the earlier points, knowing what you don't like and learning something that you don't like is learning nonetheless, and that is still a valuable takeaway. So I think what you really have to do there is kind of hone in on what you don't like. I think that a company culture is one of the things that's easiest to ignore in the short term, depending on what it's affecting in your day to day. So that's nice because you're there for a time bound period and you don't have to go back. So you can take away what you don't like and then use that to influence your next search. I think it's difficult to say if you don't like the company culture, you don't like the environment that you're in. It's really difficult to say you should try to get a return offer to go back there, unless that's really your only option. It's pretty difficult to say this is what you're going to have to do, right? So it's a tricky one, but really, I think the biggest thing that you've got to do is just understand what you don't like about it really specifically, and then use that to influence future decisions. If there are things like, nobody talks to me ever, I just kind of stand here at my desk and nobody ever comes up to me and talks to me, that might be something that you can solve, right? If it's all about how it's interacting with you, that might be something that you might want to try changing. Just say, I'm just going to try talking with these people a little bit more, right? So there are definitely some things that you can change, especially if it's things that are affecting you directly. You probably have a lot more influence into that than you might think that you do. There's a really big point to be made here as well about feelings of disillusionment, of just in work generally. That's very, very real. I come from the engineering space, and we tend to have a very glamorized idea of what it means to be an engineer in the workplace. And a lot of times it falls really, really flat. I've talked with friends who have done several internships, and they go, man, this engineering stuff sucks because I don't do anything. I don't do anything that I thought I was going to do. I don't design anything. I do paperwork in Excel, spreadsheets, right? That's very real. And I think you get that in a lot of different workplaces. People have this idea of, I'm going to go and I'm going to be a killer. I'm going to do so much great creative work. I studied. I'm going to use these things. I'm going to use these things that I learned in school. I'm going to be able to make an impact on anything. And then they just find that they don't, that things move slowly, that the type of work that they get or the type of work that their team gets just isn't at all what they're interested in or what they think is relevant to what they might want to do. I've met people, or I've spoken with people who are in positions where they're like, this was my dream internship, this was my goal, and it sucks being here. So that's something that you're going to have to grapple with, or that you might have to grapple with. Hopefully you don't. I truly hope that you go into an internship, you go, this was everything that I thought it ever would be, and everything that I thought it ever could be. I love this, and I'm having a great time, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm making a lot of money. That's awesome. I really hope that you're in that position, but odds are you're not, unfortunately. So if you're in that position where you thought something would be different and it really isn't, a lot of people are in that position. Corporate is very different than school in many, many, many different ways. And that's something that you're going to have to grapple with. You're going to have to learn what you're okay with giving up and what you're not. I would also say there are a lot of parts of it that are really nice. For example, maybe you have a really glamorous idea of all of the super cool work that you're doing. You're working around the clock, making the world a better place. But then you go, man, I'm not doing any of that stuff, but still get to go home at a certain time. I don't know. I got kind of bummer there, honestly. But I think it's something very, very real. I think just you got to acknowledge that it's okay to be disillusioned. It's okay to go, man, I thought this was going to be all of this, and now it's not, and now it sucks. It can feel like it's really bad when you hype it up a ton for yourself. So I encourage you to just kind of take it as it is, be forgiving with it, honestly, and don't be too harsh on it. I think the best thing that you can do is take in all the information that you can about what it actually looks like, what it actually is, learn all of that and figure out if it's something that you actually want to do. Because even if it's something where you thought you would be doing something and you're not doing any of that, doesn't mean you still can't enjoy it, right? Doesn't mean that you still can't find it fulfilling. It's just different. Different doesn't just necessarily mean bad. You can be disillusioned in a not terrible way. So really what it comes down to is you just got to figure out what it is that you're able to get from it still, and make sure that you're still learning, you're still getting something out of it. You're not just clocking in, clocking out, feeling kind of bummer for yourself. That's no fun, right? So I want a little ramble there, but if you're feeling disillusioned by the job in any capacity, and that's leading you to hate it or have feeling of hatred towards it, I encourage you to be a little bit more gentle with it and on yourself. Just because it's different doesn't mean that it's bad, and tough it out. Give it a fighting chance. It is a shame, I think, to be in a position where you're doing something totally different to you for 3 months and it's completely time bound, and just to kind of throw in the towel and go, this isn't it. I don't like this. I'm just going to sit on my thumbs for 6 weeks for half this time. That's a real shame. There's always going to be something that you can get out of it. Always. Do more coffee chats, talk with more people, network with more people, try to do lots of different work, figure out what you can still get out of it, even if your constraints feel tighter, or even if you feel like what you wanted to get out of it, you're not getting out of it. There's still going to be stuff that you can get out of it. It might even just be good friends, right? That's something. That's something that's nice. Will make your quality of life improve. If you have any questions on this, I'd love for you to throw them in the comments or let me know by email. My email is nick@reroutedpod.com. You can find all of our socials and such in the description below. And if you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, rate, and follow, reach out, all the above. If you enjoyed this format, let me know. If you made it this far, let me know. Thank you. I appreciate it.